welcome you to HR Caucus, elucidating the faces of HR. We are grateful to have you all for HR Caucus 2013 in its juvenile kind has set out to create a drive that is discuss, review, implement, validate, and endorse industry and institutional collaboration with the bridging skill gap. The idea of HR Caucus is to create a professional forum comprising of corporate HRs, academicians, and students to be brought under one tag to assess, brainstorm, conceptualize, discuss, or debate to elucidate the facets under the gamut of human resource development and industrial relationship.
HR Caucus 13 will bring together leaders from renowned corporates who are committed to improve the quality of human resources and enabling sustainable growth for the corporate. This forum will provide a pivotal platform for the HR community to exchange the best practice and develop a progressive agenda on HRD. I wish you a most fruitful day with interesting and stimulating discussion and exchange of knowledge so that we can ensure to create a drive in bringing in the best practice and relevancy of HR under industrial relation, recruitment, and training. I'd like to thank each of you for accepting the invitation and attending our conference and bringing your expertise to our gathering. You, as organization leaders, have the vision, the knowledge, and the experience to help us to pave our way into the future. I take the privilege to call our esteemed guest to the stage. Mr. T. Sridhar, MD TMI Network, Mr. N. Murugeshan, Founder and Chairman, Move West, Mr. M. Umapati, Chairman and MD, Oltec Group, Mr. Ravintran, Director, Oltec Manufacturing Company Limited, Mr. G.D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory.
Can we have a huge round of applause? Today, October 5th, we celebrate the World Teachers' Day. A Call for Teachers is a slogan of World Teachers' Day 2013, which UNESCO celebrates every year. Taking a stand for the teaching profession means providing adequate training, ongoing professional development, and protection for teachers' rights. So, we would take this opportunity to thank all the teachers who have been so dedicated and patient to transfer their knowledge for a future. We shall start this present occasion with a prayer song. I request the dignitaries to light the Kutuvelakku. I request Mr. N. Murugeshan sir, Mr. T. Sridhar, Mr. Ravindran, Mr. G. D. Sharma, and Mr. Umapati to light the Kutuvelakku. I take the privilege to call upon our director, Mr. Dinesh K. Babu, to give us the welcome address.
A very warm good morning to ladies and gentlemen over here. It's a nice feeling. It's a great moment for all of us over here in World Tech, as well as my guests and dignitaries. I know we are running a little delayed from the scheduled time, as it has been usual and it has been a practice. But we'll try to patch up the same during down the session, and I'll also keep my inaugural address quite a simple and short. It's a formality, but it's still a requirement because, everybody has taken a lot of pain in ensuring that they make it to the schedule, they reach here. To start with, definitely the dignitaries on the stage, Mr. Sridhar, Umapati sir, Mr. Murugeshan, G. D. Sharma sir, and Mr. Ravindran. Especially I have to tell about Ravindran sir because he is not feeling well. He is little not healthy. So, but still, on a special request from our note, he could make up all the way till here. All of the others, I know the other speakers and the moderators who are here, they have all made it a point that on a weekend, that on a Saturday, they took to the commitment and they made their presence here to make the session the one which we are all expecting to be. Obviously, the corporate HR delegates, the academicians, the students, and my own colleagues from World Tech who have all made up here. We are quite thankful to you and we welcome you all on behalf of World Tech family. It was a nice feeling to have you all here with us. This session, as it titled, Industry Institutional Collaboration to Bridge Skill Gap, it's quite a happening topic in Indian market today. I remember we had a session 2 weeks before in one of the institute at Andhra, Sri Vasavi Institute. The session was quite energetic and highly debated. I hope the same energy and a more vacuum of discussion will be witnessed over here. I'm sure the stage is going to see a fire and a drive and witness an ocean of knowledge sharing which will be happening down the line. And I'm sure you will all carry away something really good which you have been experiencing in the last 2 editions of Caucus. And thanks to all who made it a point that the 3rd version of the Caucus has also come up in the way as it has been planned. I welcome you all for this gathering and I hope you'll have a good session down the day. Thank you very much.
We request Mr. Umapati, Chairman and MD Voltec Group, to give us the presidential address.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, a warm good morning to all. I would like to begin this occasion with a quote told by a famous businessman and philanthropist, Mr. William Clement Stone. There is little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you, every one of you, to the 3rd annual general gathering of HR Caucus 13, a platform for all prominent HR professionals from diversified industries to gather under one roof to discuss, debate, and explore on the various facts of human resources management. HR Caucus 2013 being brought out with the theme as Industry Institution Collaboration in Bridging Skill Gap is one of the most happening and highly debated topic in the recent past in the Indian corporate and academic world, including what we are having as Voltec Group, we are also having a lot of skill management or skill gap is there to satisfy our clients in international market. Given the current high pace growth and dynamic investment climate in India, the demand for knowledge workers with high level technical skills has only increased. With expansions taking place across the sectors, there exists a large need for talented resources. Many employers throughout region and across the province say they can't find qualified candidates to fill good paying, high skill jobs. This problem is known as the skills mismatch. The divide between the skills and credentials held by people looking for work and the qualifications held by employers. The skill gap is a major issue for governments, employers, and educators. Employers are proactively addressing the skills mismatch by investing in the education, training, and development of our students and prospective future employees. Part of the skill gap problem is that only a small percentage of India's young go on to the higher education. Not more than 27% of Indians aged group between 18 to 25 go to college according to the official statistics. Even providing the fundamental level of education is difficult with nearly 40% of the people over the age 15 being illiterate. With our collaborative thoughts and united approach, I urge that we all should stand together to bring a radical change into our country educational system, keeping the international standards and practices as benchmark. I congratulate the Voltec HR services team for initiating such a forum to address the national issue. I request the participants to support these unique ventures. I wish them all success in their current and future endeavors. I wish all the participants to have a good experience of knowledge sharing through this conference. Thanking you.
Thank you so much, sir. I request Mr. G.D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory, to introduce our valuable guest, Mr. Ravindran Voltec, Manufacturing Company Limited, about his 40 years industrial experience and also his Lifetime Achievement Award this year.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and privilege to speak about a colleague of mine. We started our careers together in the same company. That's how the coincidence is today. But a man who has really achieved so much in his lifetime, taking a company which was a joint venture between SPIC, where we started our careers, and Jurong Engineering from Singapore. So this joint venture was called SPIC Gel Engineering. And it was a force to reckon with in due course of time. It was one of the most reputed construction and engineering turnkey companies in the field of power, oil and gas, and so on. And the man behind that company, for having made it such a reputable company in that sector, in that domain, is the person whom I am talking about, and that is Mr. P. Ravindran. Mr. Please sit down, please. So, Mr. Ravindran is a BE and an MSc in engineering, and like all of us, he started his career as an assistant project engineer in SPIC in the year 1973. I joined in 79. But he has been slowly and steadily, he progressed in his career. He became chief manager projects and was transferred from the Tuticorin works to Chennai to another division of SPIC, which was then called SPIC SMO, as it was called, SPIC Maintenance Organization, again a division which was entrusted with the responsibility to do turnkey projects, design engineering in the field of oil and gas, power, fertilizers and chemicals and so on. So he moved to SPIC SMO in 1986, and subsequently he was on a deputation to this new venture, as I was mentioning in the beginning, which is SPIC Gel Engineering, a joint venture between SPIC and Jurong Engineering Limited. And I think that deputation of Mr. Ravindran as a Chief Manager Projects from SPIC to SPIC Gel, I think was a game changer for him, a turning point in his life. And I think there has been no looking back for Mr. Ravindran. He steered the company SPIC Gel Engineering from 1995 when he became the managing director of this company, and he retired in the year 2006, 7 years ago. And during this stint, as I was mentioning earlier, SPIC Gel Engineering achieved great heights in its domain, came to be known as a company of merit, and that was sheerly, completely attributable to the leadership demonstrated by Mr. Ravindran. So HR Caucus 2013 is the third in the series, as Mr. Dinesh was mentioning, and we have kept this skill building and skill gap as a national agenda in front of us, and that's the standard theme for our programs in the past and for the years to come by as well. So during this 2013 HR Caucus, we would like to start the proceedings by announcing that we wish to confer the Lifetime Achievement Award to Mr. P. Ravindran, and I would request, thank you, it's really a well-deserved applause for Mr. Ravindran, and I would request Mr. Umapati, Chairman of Voltech Engineering, to hand over the award to him and also to honor him and recognize him. Mr. Umapati.
I also request Mr. Umapati to felicitate Mr. Sridhar, MD TMI Network. And felicitate Mr. G.D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory. I request Mr. Murali, Voltech Group employee, to felicitate Mr. N. Murugesan, Founder, Chairman, MUA Trust. Thank you so much, sir. Dinesh K. Babu to introduce our honorable guest, Mr. T. Sridhar.
I don't think Sridhar, or more widely known to you all as Sri, need to be introduced anyway, but still, when I was just going through his profile, a different person altogether. Because, see, I saw he completed his B in mechanical, then an MBA, then with Castrol, and then Johnson & Johnson. Suddenly he took over a career with Manpower. You know, this is something really challenging. I can, somewhere I can see that, okay, he has taken a challenge 20 years back to join a company with just 20 people. And then 20 years is just like a dream what he made it for him. From 20 employees, he brought it to 300. With a single branch office, to he made it a 10 branch office. Today he is managing around 1,500 people are working on his payroll with another companies. This is really a courage, leaving away the comfortable corporate job and taking up the role of, I'm sorry if I don't say the corporate HR job is comfortable, but still there is a great amount of challenge when it compared with the business development and other business prospects. Because somewhere when I give this speech, I'm trying to slowly relate myself with it. I also had to shift the career and take up consultation as a job. But I'm sure I am nowhere nearing to Sridhar sir, because he has made it really awesome in terms of what he has done in his last 20 years. Managing this many people is not that easy, and developing a business center with manpower as a core of it, and moving on his social involvement in different areas. When we invited him for the subject, and after hearing to the theme, he immediately said yes. He never even gave a second thought to it, because he knows this is a subject which we all need to address. And if he comes and makes the first voice, the rest will definitely follow him. So that's how he is. He is known to you as a chairman of ERA. He is there in a lot of Rotary clubs. He is there on the board, controlling lot of, advising a lot of MNCs to establish their shops in India. So on and so forth. He is a man of no words, but still he stands there separate in the list, and he makes a difference to the list. I'm sure in the next 15 minutes what he is going to share with you is going to be something really setting a base platform for all of us to move further in the day and discuss, debate, and review different aspects of the skill gap. I'm sure he will be there well above your expectations. I would like to request Mr. Sridhar to take on the dais. Mr. Sridhar, please.
And a very warm good morning to you. Let me say the first good news, there's no PPTs. But there is some PPT in the form of pre-prepared talk. When I say normally I don't prepare at all. I do extempore. My colleague Ramesh will say he comes and blabbers all the time. But this time, knowing grey hairs are better, and I see all of them with grey hairs, I am the youngest of amongst all them. So I said I must do justice to what I have been called for. Two, I also realized that they honored me before, so irrespective of what I speak, I am done. So it doesn't matter what I speak. Three, most importantly, I'm not going to say nice words today. I'm going to provoke each one of you here, each stakeholder, and then tell you why. And one of the questions that come, of course, thanks to Dinesh who introduced very well, this is a problem of the person who introduces. He creates a hype. Now your expectations have gone up, right? But I must tell you that I run a company called TMI Network for the last 20 years. The company is about 23 years old. I've been with them for 20 years. And all the 20 years have been a challenge. And in the last 3 years, though we have been into skill building for the last 7 years, but the last 3 years we've been extensively into skill building. We are one of the key partners of NSDC, and right now we are one of the most successful NSD partners. And thank you, sir. And therefore, I think I'm reasonably fit to speak today. And you may not agree to it, but that's your choice. Right? Before we talk about industry and interaction, I think that the root cause is somewhere else. And why are we all here? Why are all engineering colleges which are sponsored, engineering management schools which are sponsored, all of them here? I know some of them very closely. They come from the place where I am, from Andhra Pradesh. I don't know, I'm neither in Andhra nor Telangana at this point of time. But I come from a place which has the maximum number of engineering colleges, along with that maximum number of management schools. And we compete very closely with Tamil Nadu in a number of colleges, but all of us have one single problem. And I think earlier Mr. Umapati also said that most of us are quite generous when we say that 15% are employable from this community of colleges that we get. We're extremely generous, let me tell you that much. And I'm sure there are practicing professionals here who will say that I've been very too kind to them if I say 15%. Having said that, what is the root cause? So I go back to my own life and look back and said where the root cause is all about. when I was doing my, those days we had SSLC, some of you, the elder people would know, the youngers wouldn't know. When you do SLC, I didn't know what I was to do. But I knew that I would always speak well, I always argue well, irrespective, because every time I score low marks, I would argue with my mother that I did the best. And that's what law is all about. So I said I must become a lawyer. And my mother said, no, you'll become an engineer. I became an engineer. And engineer, not by choice, by default. And when you become an engineer by default, you're not given your full to whatever you are. But believe me, I was in the top 10% of the class. Imagine the rest of the 90%. If this is the stake of the top 10%, the 90%. So we are a fantastic community of 95% of people who are by choice and default, but all at the same level. Right? Since I did my engineering, and as it happens today, to the 85% of the population, I didn't get a job in the campus. There is no campus only those days. I studied from Annamalai. And many of you know that we carry chains in the hand, not anything else. Those days, but things have changed now after I left. Those days, it was one of the best academic institutions I've ever been. To give it the credit, I think I got molded in engineering. I did understand and tried liking engineering. But when I didn't get a job, my first company that invited me for an interview, I asked them wherever I apply, there's no reply. And based on that answer, he gave me a job, believe me. But I had to quit within 12 days because I think engineering is not my way of dream, and then I got into management. I joined Gindi to do my management 83, 85, and that was my turning point. And that's why I realized that I could probably do better. But coming back to the root cause, I never became a lawyer. I became an engineer. Then because to cover it up or cover my lack of knowledge, I did my management. And I look back, why did my parents do this? Has it changed in the last 30 years? It hasn't changed at all. And if you ask all parents who are here, all of you would have been children to somebody, parents to some, and I'm sure if anybody has a dream, is that the children must become either an engineer or a doctor. And today, NSDC is looking for plain graduates. We are not getting graduates. Right? We were hiring for a public sector bank about 16, 17 months back for a probationary officer role, and 96% of the people who came for the final interview were all engineers. Imagine the plight if engineers start doing jobs which they are not supposed to do, then engineers become equivalent to what? Are we just propelling our work or population of engineers, or are we propelling more engineers into other profession? And if you look back at this, and when I asked people why they chose to come to the bank, they told me, said, I like banking. Said, what do you like about banking? He said, it's interacting with people. I approve checks. I am a man of power. So this again worried me more. But that bank chairman had given a directive. He says, anybody who can speak English, please select. Because if I lose this opportunity, I'll have to wait one more year. So our question is, who is Mahatma Gandhi? He answered it, selected. Right? And believe me, I'm not joking. I'm sure when you're on the other side, it's time to laugh. But I was sitting in the panel. We are 7 of us, and all public sector, the banks have a structure of who should be in the panel. What kind of people representing the below the poverty line, then minorities and all that. It was painful for each one of us to see that we have to select people not on their competence, because we couldn't even address. And when you ask them, what do you know about the bank? All of them said the same thing about the bank. So this was very interesting. I said, if you say, what do you know about the bank? It's like ISO. Everybody produces the same output. So we went back, drill, and said, how did you all say the same thing? He said, we all got trained in the same coaching class. Right? So what has happened over a period of time? First of all, you don't choose what you want to do. The parents decide for you. Then the parents put you into a coaching class, and both in Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Kota, I think we are the biggest number of engineering coaching institution, and the turnover of these coaching institutions are 5 times the budget of all IITs put together. Can you imagine the amount of effort that each of us put in to train our children to put into one of the engineering colleges? But look at the other fact, this is the supply side. Look at one more supply side fact. The number of college seats in engineering, at least in the state that I am, is roughly about 3.6 lakhs or so. Number of people who apply to get into engineering is less than 3 lakhs. Now what should the institution do? They select everybody. And only which institution you go is based on your so-called ranking. Last year there was a big debate whether we should even take people who had scored 0 in their test. Now these people, with due respects to everybody who runs academic institution, if you take people like that, where do we land? Is it the fault of the individual? No, don't blame him at all. I think most of us have the unique sense that the kids are not doing well. Their attitudes are wrong. They don't do this. The problem lies elsewhere. Because if we don't gain, why are some institutions better than other institutions? Because they have some input criteria. 2, I think one of the rules that we very honestly feel is to say that every individual is good. Our job is to find what is good in him and then do the skill gap. Today when you say skill gap, it means uniformly do the gap, whether he needs it or not. That's not skill gap analysis. So consistently and very consciously, thoughtfully, planned way, we are eroding the entire process in such a way that finally what we get is not what we want. So who's the cause for all this? In one large word, we could call it the society. But if you look at it, I think our parents are as much responsible of what the children are today, then you can't blame them. 2, what do the institutions do? I have 3-4 stakeholders that I've looked at today. One is the parents, which are a critical part of this, and the parents definitely play a positive role and not so positive role. Every time I travel by a cab or an auto rickshaw driver, I am very consciously asking them, what do they do, what's their family, how they run their business, is it earning enough, do they manage to have 2 square meals? And at the end of the day, you ask him, before he said, what are your children doing? Most of them that have answered, who are 40 plus, have said their children are doing engineering. And I said, how did you manage to get engineering? He said, did he score? He said, he scored 60, but I had to pay some money and I got admission to it. How are they doing? Yes. Now what you have done is built a dream on the parent, saying that you get into the institution to get something better, but none of us leave the dream after that. That debt starts there. And therefore, if you look at parents and institution interaction, the dream of the parents to get their children, even if they are not ready for it or if they are not right for it, gets into it. So the parent and the institution play a very critical role. 2, with more number of colleges coming in, and many engineering colleges are also management colleges. I'll let you a good example. We have a watchman in our complex in Hyderabad, and one of the guys is doing engineering. And a very smart guy. Amongst all the other people working, he was made the team leader. He's about 21, 22. And very smart. Night he would work on the night, day he would go to work. And so I asked his father one of these days and said, it's very tough to get jobs, what do you do? And his immediate spark is, I'll put him into an MBA. So I said, first of all, I'm so happy that he understands engineering MBA. That's a very positive sign, because people are extremely aware, informative, But if your son doesn't get engineering, if you have to go to MBA, after you finish MBA, you don't get a job, where do you go? That's a huge question in my mind. I didn't know what to do. I was only empathetic, but I didn't tell him anything else. I said, we must allow them to live their dream. But if such children who go to engineering or management school, either after engineering or otherwise, and if we don't provide them the right opportunity, what will they become? The whole world thinks we are a world of talent. Everybody thinks we are a world of talent, except ourselves. The world thinks India produces 1 million engineers every year, and we go and check only 10% of the population or 15% of the population is employable. See the contrast between our own belief in our people and the belief others have in our own people. The others believe, when they say they have 1 million engineers being produced, they say that they are all moldable. But they don't think every individual is an asset straight away that you can start producing. The other day I was reading a press report about one big IT company which says that we are reducing the training time from 6 to 3 months. And if you are reducing the time to 3 months, in a way it's good as long as you train what they are supposed to do. But if they are not, if they are trained and then you ask to deliver because they become billable, I am sure the customer is at the receiving end. And therefore the quality suffers. If the quality suffers, the brand India suffers, the billable rate suffers, your variable pay comes down. These are all tangible impact. So what should look at the industry, the third stakeholder. The industry, say, given a choice, would say, can I have somebody who can deliver from day one? Yeah, everybody likes to. When you get married, you expect your wife to cook on day one. Do we or do we not? I had no expectation because my wife didn't know how to cook. But we started cooking from day one because I started cooking. Right? It didn't matter. Because as long as the objective is met, then it didn't matter. And today she cooks very well, thankfully, despite me coaching her to cook. And therefore, if each one of us in industry, because we are under pressure, we are in a competitive environment and we want only people who can deliver, what do you do to this million people who are so well educated, who have high level of aspiration? They may not have done much perspiration, but they have a high level of aspiration. At the entry point, they get engineers, they think they will get IT jobs. That's the only dream people have. And that's a big misnomer. And in these kinds of time, when IT companies are moving away from linear growth to non-linear growth, this is going to dwindle. And till yesterday, or even this year, the number of people who are taking computer science, the number of people who are, everybody, because till 2 years back, any IT company would take any engineer to an IT project. So you take metallurgy, you take civil engineering, you take anything, even botany they can do, coding. And today suddenly the same engineering said, no, we don't want any of you. So somebody who joined because of the demand 4 years back, by default or choice, today has no words to say. The parents are in. So today I get at least 6 to 7 calls a day from parents who have put their children in various colleges and said, I have my son who is doing my fresh, can you get a job? So if I call my own clients and they say, sorry, we don't entertain you for freshers, which is fair. We can't even help people that we know. So what is the industry supposed to do? But the industry is for profit. They have shareholder value creation as a prime objective. And so we are caught between, the children are caught between the dreams of each of the stakeholders. And then the government suddenly came in and said, yeah, we have given time to everybody, and now all of us should pool in to do something else. So the National Skills Development Council was formed, right now headed by Mr. Ramadore, and they said we must do something unique. So they set a goal of 500 million jobs by 2022. 500 million jobs is hell of a lot, almost 50% of our population now. And I think we went back to ask how did we land at this 500 million. Say one management guru during a discussion make this point, we should make 500 million, and that became the slogan for the government. And see how lightly we take. The intention would be excellent, but we lack intensity. And because we lack intensity, this 500 million has become a byword. Everywhere you see 500 million, but no effort to make even 5 million. In the last 5 years, the number of job creation has been less than 5 million. If you go at the same linear rate of 5 million every 5 years, and by 2022 we will produce 10 million. And what are we going to do? The government also has made education for all as a policy. They want 1,000 more universities to be created. I don't know where the faculty is going to come from. I am sure every institution here will fear when they say you have to hire a faculty. And we have been training faculties to train their students, and we find such a big challenge because faculties also don't come there by choice. If the students don't come by choice, faculties don't come by choice, how can the jobs come by choice? You made big mistakes and then you wanted to be corrected at the other end, for which you have no control, and then blame it on the students and saying they are not good. So NSDC said we must create understand the skill gap and see how you can plug in. And so they created and wanted partners who can partner with them in this creation of this 500 million jobs, because 500 million jobs cannot happen just like that. So they wanted to create from grassroots. They also attempted multiple objectives in meeting it, which includes to stop urbanization or migration to urban, and say how can you get jobs locally for local people. And when in the process they said let's train people in the place they are. Excellent, noble idea. And we as a company were one of the first partners of NSDC. And the NSDC's objective was to look at 10th standard and 12th standard pass outs at the first level, because they said the number of student dropout between 8th and 10th and 10th and 12th is about 60%. And after that the number of people who go to engineering this is about 1 million. And imagine what happens to children from 5th standard onwards. Continuously the numbers, the funnel is coming down. And therefore the government said, how can we get jobs? But we went back and said, well, yeah, there could be a lot of people who could do that. We'll look at graduates because they have put in a lot more effort in getting this. So we went on a survey. We went across to do a survey, and there are two things that came out very strongly. And the survey was done by a market research agency, and they said, given a choice, all of them want government employment. And the earliest or the pay packet that they want is about 35,000 to 45,000 per month. This is the expectation. So you are caught. So NSDC, we went back and told them, if this is the expectation, what do you do? So we said graduates. So we said we will not start from the supply side, we will start from the demand side. Because every program of this country, in whatever field, education to anything, is always on the supply side. When you say supply side, you say, okay, 5 million people are writing their 12th standard exams, and therefore we must produce 5 million engineers or whatever. But they are all supply side, but they are not worried about demand side. Is there a demand in the corporate or the government to create those kind of jobs? If you don't have, there is a huge gap between supply and demand. How do you bridge the gap? Who will bridge the gap? What do you do to people? What are people expected to do? So we said we will come from the demand side, not on the supply side, and we had an agreement with the partnership agreement with NSDC to say that we will deliver 500,000 jobs by 2022. Against 500 million that the company wants, as a one partner we said 500,000. That's about 5,26,000 people that we are supposed to deliver. And when you come from the demand side, we said we will go to the corporates, identify people that they want, then hire people, train them for the job, and then deploy them. this demand is never elastic and demand is never static. So, today they want people, tomorrow they don't want people, because it depends upon their needs. So, demand is itself very unreliable, and the corporate's experience over the last 20 years is that whatever you do, the attrition rate at the entry level is roughly 35 to 45%. And why is the attrition 35 to 45%? You do an analysis, you come back and said people have taken jobs that they don't like. If they take jobs that they don't like, what are they expected to do? Obviously, you are expecting them to leave. But they continue to take the job because they at least get some salary during the training period. They enjoy the honeymoon, and then when it's time to work, they quit. Is it their problem? Surely no. Why? Because we didn't assess them at that stage to know whether they like the job. We only knew whether they could speak English, whether they knew some basics, and then you hire them. Where the question of looking at their attitudes, their competence, their likes, their dislikes, what is their strength, what is their weaknesses? No assessment was done by any of the companies that I have gone through over the last 19 years to make this, to find and tell what can we do with such guys. So, we went back to NSDC, and so we went to demand creation, and from the demand we realized when people can stay in the organization only if they are doing the job that is assigned to them very well. And the idea was to build a ownership on the individual to hold on to the job that is offered to him, because getting a job is easier, to retain it is even more difficult. So, we realized that people have no faith in training when you go to external training programs by the institution, but they all are generic training. The difference between training, teaching, training or learning is a huge gap. Training is always depend on the trainer and is imparted uniformly, but learner learns it in different pace and in different forms. Some are audio sensitive, some are visual sensitive, and therefore you can't impart one single training that is uniform to everybody. So, we said we must move away from training to learning methodologies. And if you have to do learning, you have to allow the kids, the children have the different gaps, and if you impart them the same language, the gaps are never controlled. So, how do you bridge this gap again? So, we said we will have to go through a model where there is some learning and some learning at their own pace, and reinforcement through a different form of learning. So, we said let us go for blended learning. What is blended learning? One is the classroom, because everybody likes to go to the classroom. Then go to blended through e-learning program or any other more forms of communication. Webcasts are all there, but people are not serious, so it is still very nascent in India, and say how do we can bridge this gap to make this happen. And we realized that it is more effective. When we do it, allow the individual to learn at his pace, it is like adult education. After some form, adult education you can't learn serially. They like when you open a book to read, no, you first read the end, then read open some people read it fully. But at the most you want to see what is interesting and read, yeah, right. So, therefore, it is important for us to understand that we must focus on what we should do for the children. So, today the NSDC provides a platform to train, educate people, and we follow something called a gym model. It is called job instruction method. Train them only for the job that they do. This is called the Toyota model. Just train them for the job they do, and they do it very well. Just train them repeatedly to do that. That model has worked extremely well for us, and today we educate them, learn them. That is why our model is called the JoJo model. It is called job oriented education program, right? Jointly owned education program. So, today to support this, before I finish, to support this, the government has brought in one more initiative. He said if training is not being funded by the corporate because they find it difficult, is not effective, in the last budget the finance minister has created a para called para 113, that the government will subsidize training to the level of 10,000 rupees per person, provided they follow some standards. They are called NOS, National Occupational Standards, and for each of the role, for each of the industry vertical, they are creating a NOS. And as training institutions or learning imparting institutions, our job is to get them certified by a third party, and when they are certified by the third party, this 10,000 reimbursed to the training institution, right. So this is a fantastic noble initiative by the government that's saying, okay, corporate, we find you have difficulty in doing it, you have high level of attrition, we have to bring the ownership across levels, so we will fund this program. And there is a 500 crores provided till March 2014, right. So there is an opportunity for all companies, corporates here to see how you can use it, for all education institutions to see how you can build on it and see how the curriculum can be changed. Thank you very much.
And I request Mr. Ravindran sir to receive the first copy and joining with our other chief guests too. As a part of skill development, Voltech HR Services Private Limited has taken an honor in signing a memorandum understanding on industry-institution collaboration with the college that we have partnered with for HR Caucus 2013. They have been a great inspiration and always made us strive hard every year to make HR Caucus a great success. So they are not only a part of HR Caucus, but also a very important part of Voltech Group. Now I request the following academicians to come on to the stage to sign in the memorandum. Sasi Institute of Technology and Engineering, Dr. Venugopala Krishnan, Chairman. Ramachandra Engineering College, Eluru, Mr. Venugopal, Secretary. Sri Vasavi Institute of Technology, Mr. T. Meher Baba, Secretary. I request Sasi Institute and Ramachandra College, Sri Vasavi Institute College to come on to the right side of the stage. Sorry, Sasi to the left side. Venugopal and Krishna, Chairman. Ramachandra Engineering College. Sri Vasavi Institute of Technology. At the right side, sir. At the right side, sir. I request Mr. Umapati, sir, to do the honors. I request the privileged partners to come to the center of the stage. Thank you so much for being a part of Voltech Group, sir.